Dear students, good morning. Welcome to Law Excellence IAS. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 19th September 2020. The first article for discussion is Another Afghan Peace Push and a Role for India. This article by Mr. Rakesh Sood especially talks about recently started intra-Afghan negotiations and the challenges it faces. You know that intra-Afghan negotiations started between Afghan High Council for National Reconciliation and Taliban in Doha, Qatar. Here, every country which is facilitating these negotiations has its own self interest rather than the interest in Afghanistan. Let us take the example of USA. It is looking for a managed exit from Afghanistan. The troop withdrawal is the first priority to Mr. Trump now. Second, Russia, it is looking for safety on its southern border. And China, along with Pakistan, it is looking for a stability in its Xinjiang province and also peace to build China-Pakistan economic corridor. And you know, Pakistan considers Afghanistan as its backyard and it wants to have a strategic control through Taliban in Afghanistan. In this case, when everyone has their own divergent self interest, ensuring a successful talks is always difficult. Next, ceasefire, though technically is halted, violence is still continuing in Afghanistan. Taliban appears to have a clear intention to unsettle Afghan National Defense and Security Forces, in a nutshell, Afghan army, so that they can have a say after the US troops moves out of Afghanistan. Next, Taliban cutting ties with terror organizations, which is the primary demand of USA to withdraw its troops, is also a myth. Taliban is not cutting its ties with the terror organizations. You know, Al Qaeda in Indian subcontinent still have strong ties with the Taliban. There are other challenges, let me put it this way. Haqqani network chief is being stated as wanted terrorist by the United States of America. Still, he is in the wanted list and he is important for Taliban. How these issues will be resolved, we have to wait and see. Coming to the demographics of Afghanistan, 74% of the population of Afghanistan today are less than 30 years. These are grown or these people are nurtured after US or else US troops or international alliance forces occupied Afghanistan. Relatively, they grew up in democratic setup. How these young people will align themselves with Taliban, how democracy in Afghanistan will provide them opportunities so that their energies can be well streamlined, these are bigger questions. Taliban still accuses the government, the democratically elected government, as not representative of the people and imported by the West. In this case, we have to see the stand of India. You know, India always considered Taliban as terrorists. But for the first time, Indian External Affairs Minister addressed opening inaugural session of intra-Afghanistan negotiation. In this, Taliban were a part. Second, India wants to have a peaceful, stable Afghanistan. Why that is necessary? India suffered when Afghanistan is in the hands of Taliban. So Afghanistan peace process has to be Afghan led, Afghan owned and Afghan controlled. And India wants its concerns to be addressed which are related to its safety. It wants Afghan soil not to be used against India in the future. So, the prospect for peace in Afghanistan today depends on a regional consensus. Among all the players, there has to be a consensus, not just on intra Afghan negotiations. India has a vision for stable, peaceful, plural, united, sovereign, democratic Afghanistan. This vision of India is also shared by every Afghan citizen, irrespective of ethno religious lines. In this context, India has to play an active role to ensure its future safety and also peace in Afghanistan. That is the view of author here. The next article is on the GST issue, center holds the baton. You all know the background related to the GST issue between the center and the states. The compensatory payments which the center has to make to the states, center said an act of God and moved back on its promise. And the states raised the objection. In this, see the calculations clearly. Center has estimated the GST losses close to 3 lakh crore rupees, and of that 97,000 crore rupees it is recommending for borrowing from RBI, that is plan 1. Plan 2, 2.3 lakh crores of deficit can be borrowed from market to which center can help, which the money will be paid from compensatory cess, extending the compensatory cess beyond 2022. This is what the center's plan is. But here what the author is trying to say is 2.3 crore loss to the states is an underestimate, because the loss of GDP, fall in GDP is not taken into consideration. At least a 10% fall in GDP, contraction in GDP is expected this year. It turns out to be 6.4 lakh crore rupees lost to the state governments. Be careful. 6.4 lakh crore rupees. It means even if 2.3 lakh crore is borrowed from the market, still 4 lakh crore rupees will be the revenue deficit to the states. In that case, borrowing has to be massive. Who can make a massive borrowing? The center alone can make a massive borrowing. That's why author is suggesting that center shall hold the baton to revive the economy. The next article is market failure. This is in the context of agricultural markets and their deregulation in India. So, any market mechanism can be failed if we fail to address the issues of regulation and then basic infrastructure and market imperfections per se. So, agriculture is no exception. But in agriculture, farmers are more vulnerable if market imperfections come into existence. What are the market imperfections? Cartelization, the trade cartels, the middlemen can form a cartel and they may hijack the prices. Lack of infrastructure, market failures, all these can worst affect the farmers. Second, agricultural markets and agriculture are state subjects in India. Now, central parliament making the laws on these subjects is hurtful to the states. Today, the biggest issue with agricultural marketing is lack of sufficient infrastructure. As for the National Commission on Farmers, we shall have a market for every 80 square kilometers, but in India, we have a market for 435 square kilometers. In this case, price protections like MSPs have secured the farmers from trade cartels till date. Any kind of doing away with MSPs can put them at a greater risk. That's why government need to take a careful decision in dealing with security, especially income security of the farmers. That is the suggestion of this article. The next article is continuity in change. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has played an important role in India-Japan relations. Let us explore this. And what is the intent of the article? The new incoming Prime Minister, Mr. Suga, has to continue the same. So, what Prime Minister Abe did, the partnership between these two countries is upgraded to strategic and global partnership, special strategic and global partnership. And annual Prime Minister summits are regularly held. Third, India-Japan Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement is signed. You know, Japan being the victim of atomic bombs, there is lot of repulsion among the public on this. In spite of this, Mr. Abe has pushed it forward. India is the only country to which Japan has this agreement, which is a non-NPT country. So it has many agreements with NPT signed countries, but non-NPT country, only India has this agreement. And Quad is nurtured and proposed by him. So this is a democratic access to counter the rise of China. And alternatives are also planned and financed by Mr. Abe with support of India to counter the One Belt One Road initiative. Last agreement before he demitted the office was the acquisition and cross servicing agreement. It is a significant step in defense cooperation between these two countries. Just recollect these. Next is Rajapaksas must honor their past commitment to world and India. So here Tamil National Alliance political chief what he talks about is India is equally affected due to unrest in Sri Lanka. The civil war in Sri Lanka pushed many of illegal immigrants into India. They are to the tune of 1 million today. And law and order in Tamil Nadu disturbed because of these illegal immigration. And India lost a prime minister also for this. And justice need to be looked into after political solution is sought for. That is what is his opinion. He cites the example of South Africa where a political solution is brought in between the whites and blacks there, and then the concerns of justice are addressed. So we have to look into future before we look into past. That is the opinion stated. The 13th Constitutional Amendment Act, it need to be implemented because it is the assurance given by the Sri Lanka to Tamils living over there. The minority's sense of security is essential for unity and peace in the country. And TNA has lost this election badly. And he tries to explain that in terms of the priorities of TNA. TNA prioritized the political solution to Tamil issues rather than looking at the economic difficulties of the people. So, the sidestepping of the economic difficulties is the major reason for their loss. These are the points discussed in this interview. Next is cracking the world of make believe. You know, drug cases are highlighted in the media today, in Karnataka and also in Bollywood. See carefully, lot of misogynistic elements are there in the media reporting. Either it is with Riya Chakravarti or with other women who are arrested in Karnataka. So this reflects the patriarchal mindset of our media. Second, cryptocurrency and dark web, these are becoming important tools for the spread of the drugs in Indian cities. Finally, breaking the supply chain backbone is critical for arrest of the drug spread. How can we break this? First is airports need to be sealed well. It means surveillance at the airport levels and on the drug peddlers have to be improved. China sends fighters towards Taiwan. China is trying to hit multiple fronts at a single go. And every hit is going to be short of a war. So, in this context, aggressive posture of China is visible in South China Sea, Eastern China Sea, and added to that at a line of actual control with India. Now it is in along the Taiwan Strait. China has sent its jets and which have crossed the Taiwan Straits. It is to show its resentment of visit of Under Secretary of United States of America. Media should not target minorities. Media cannot take on a minority community, and minority community shall not be target of its attacks. Media freedom and its reporting shall not affect the dignity of any given community. So in these circumstances, Supreme Court also has raised lack of self-regulation in Indian media, and a tight self-regulation is the way forward for Indian media to stop this kind of events. These comments are made in the context of a program called UPSC Jihad, which is telecasted by Sudarshan TV. Next is 10 patrolling points in Ladakh blocked by PLA. Common patrolling was the norm in disputed areas across LAC. Both Indian and Chinese troops patrol these regions. Now, in China, as a PLA has stopped Indian army patrolling 10 points. This is where India wants a status quo ante. National Security Plan for Safe Cyberspace soon. National Security Advisor NSA Ajit Doval stated that India is developing a national cyber security strategy 2020. It is meant to ensure safe, secured, trusted, and resilient cyberspace for India. Finally, Rajya Sabha passes bill to slash salaries of MPs. Now, there are few things which are considered to be extravaganza. One is salaries of MPs, second is MP Lords, and third is Central Vista program. The government of India wants to take down the parliament building and make a new one. Or Central Vista program is a grandiose program of the government of India. In these circumstances, government's accusation is, reason is, the parliament building has become too world. What the opposition is saying is, across the world, the parliament buildings run in the oldest buildings itself, and Indian parliament is relatively young compared to these countries. These are the articles for today. Thank you very much and have a great day.